Hey, good morning everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Wednesday, April 4th, 2018. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. In the previous session here, we were basically looking for price to continue trending lower. We have a 3-week downtrend here, now 4 weeks in the making. The idea was that as long as we continue to stay below the 69 quarter, pullback's likely to be sold for a push down to the lower edge. So the expectation is still that we likely continue to work ourselves downward toward 25.29, pushing below the key range low, perhaps even as low as 2500. And if price does do that, it could be a trap opportunity for a return to 2703 and perhaps as high as 2800. So we could be looking at a fairly solid bounce here, but we got to continue to work lower. We still haven't found our real significant pivot rejection yet. You know, something like this that would make us really want to go, or like this that would make us want to get in. We haven't seen much of that yet, which suggests that we still have more downside price discovery perhaps to go. But as soon as we do find that significant rejection, it could be very, very quick to get back to this 2703 once the thing starts to really run. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, I'm not going to be real surprised if price does push below 25.29 and can't get back above it right now. The market has been quite weak. I mentioned before, market structure will be broken if price breaks below 25.29 and cannot reestablish acceptance back above it, because if that happens, we could be headed right down to the 50% extension down here, and that would be 23.54. So just keep that in mind. 25.29, a big time pivot to continue to watch here in the ES. Taking a look at the NQ, you'll see right here very similar price action that we're seeing between the ES and the NQ. NQ has been the best by far off of this key range, with edge play at the lower edge for a reversal across the way, a midpoint play, a failed edge at the top end for a continuation. So very, very nice fluid behavior off of these key levels. And remember, that key levels high comes off that high, the impulse low, and then the bounce back to the midpoint. That gave us those 3 key levels. And so right now, again, we have a likelihood that we're going to test the lower edge of the range below that 62.30 zone. We had 61.50. That's that LVN right there, 61.50. If we drop into that LVN, that could provide a great opportunity to look for rejection, defend, and perhaps return it back to 66.53. That could be a high probability trade to that target, followed by a continuation to 7K to 7,200 over the course of the 2 to 3 weeks that follow after that. So the first move from here, 61 to 66.50, the first 500 points could be rather quick, 5 to 7 days, and then perhaps another 2 weeks before you get to the other edge, something like that. So that's the primary opportunity we'll be looking for. If price breaks below that 61.50 and cannot reestablish acceptance back above it, that could be significant, and in that case we'd be looking for price to continue lower, perhaps to 58.6675 at the very least, which would be the 50% expansion target. Alright, let's take a look at crude oil. Alright, there's crude. Right now crude is coiling up significantly. We've had a big time trend that's taken price from these recent lows, about 42, all the way up to 66. Price is now trading in a range, honoring that key range here, the key range boundaries. That is providing some really nice energy that's developing in this range. But before we see further expansion, I mentioned before that very similar to this portion over here where price bounced and failed to make a new high, we got a significant sell-off. We were looking for the same type of behavior here. If price bounces and you get a failed new high, that could lead you to a move to 62.18. Well, the previous session here Monday, we got a great failed new high, led to a major sell-off. Yesterday, the idea was for price to pull back to 63.75 and for bears to defend that level for a move into 62.18. That is now complete. We reached 62.18 as a target and 62.16 as a low. So we completed that move off of that failed new high. So a very nice push into that target. I mentioned this could be just the first target. Now we could even see a continuation toward about 60.12. 60 even to 60.12, which is the next key support level. So again, we'll continue to watch this here overall, but the first high priority target is good to go. In order for this thing to continue down towards 60.12, it really needs to stay below that 60.75 and continue making new lows below 62.18. So right now, overall, this thing continues to quietly push a little lower, but the longer term flow is to the upside. The medium term flow is sideways. At some point, perhaps sooner than later, we're likely going to start seeing expansion from this range, perhaps to the upside. That could provide some significant upside targets at 70.41 and at 74.52. Alright, let's take a look here at gold. Gold here also coiling up significantly. You can see the range 1305 to 1362. Great range here. Great edge play. We recently got this move all the way to the upper end of the range. We saw day one rejection back down to our high probability target of 1330, and now a little chop back up. So again, I mentioned yesterday we're likely caught in the chop now in GC. Nothing really here to trade on a swing basis unless you get to an edge. You know, this is a great swing opportunity here. When you're in here, not so much. But what is good is the intraday range right now. The intraday range has been very nice. You can see right here already today 16 points, been averaging 17 on a 10-day basis and 16 on a 5-day. So it's already trading 95% of average as we head into RTH. And so the average range has been really nice and wide. So the intraday moves and swings have been very good. Great for some intraday trading. But right now, in terms of swing ideas, you want to be more out here. Eventually, we'll see expansion from this range, which could be very significant. Lastly, Bitcoin XBT. This one has been quite bearish again, trending lower ever since it came online in December. It's now approaching the major pivot low here, sitting just above that 6,700. I mentioned before we likely have to flush below 6,700 and perhaps even take out this low, really flush below it and then reject. And that could provide a great buying opportunity that takes us back up toward 9K at first, and then between 11.5 and 12K after that. So it could be a double from 6K to 12K if this thing finds the type of rejection that we would really want to see down here. You know, if we get another rejection like this below that level right there, that could be the trigger that starts moving this thing forward. Until then, you can see this thing continues to be bearish, continues to hold below the 8-period average, continues to trend lower and hold below that 9. Nothing really here to like about Bitcoin at the moment. It just continues trending lower until you see rejection. That's going to be the point where this thing could be turning back toward 12K. Alright, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you soon.